Good morning, Minister.
For the first time at the inquiry, a government minister.
I swear by Almighty God.
Brandon Lewis is the Northern Ireland Secretary, but before Grenfell was a fire minister with safety responsibilities, a portfolio he was given with no relevant experience for the job.
When you were appointed, what was the nature and extent of your knowledge of fire safety policy?
Effectively none. I'd not had any direct involvement in anything to do with fire.
And admitted he knew nothing of the government's fire safety rulebook, approved document B.
Yes, I'd never heard of it.
Mr. Lewis was initially a member of David Cameron's government, who in the years before the Grenfell Tower fire spoke about the need to roll back regulation and called health and safety monstrous.
I think that'll take a lot of fear out of the health and safety monster.
But the government was playing with fire when it came to health and safety, like at Lacanal House in Camberwell where 6 people died. And yet ministers continued to ignore safety recommendations from coroners.
Nothing was done. Why, in those circumstances, was greater weight attached to an ideological presumption against regulation when it's plain the sector-led approach was not working?
Well, my point would be it wasn't just an ideological thing around devolving. It was also around what is practically can make a difference.
This is the point we're dancing around, Mr. Lewis, which your answers aren't grappling with. It wasn't working.
Well, the question you're asking me is why we made the decisions at that point in time. And my answer is that's why we made the decision we made at that point in time.
72 people died at Grenfell, and it was only then the inquiry argued that government took fire safety warnings seriously.
Is the reality that it took a multi-fatality event such as Grenfell to focus proper attention on the issues that had been discussed in the decade before the Grenfell fire?
In a practical sense, that's clearly happened.
Good afternoon, Mr. Martin.
The inquiry also recalled Brian Martin for his 8th and final day of evidence. He was the civil servant responsible for fire safety for almost 20 years before Grenfell. Breaking down in tears, he admitted to failures on his part.
And perhaps the mindset that we'd adopted as a team, and myself in particular. And I think as a result of that, I ended up being the single point of failure in the department. And I think that's why, when I missed that point, that's why I think we failed to stop this happening. For that's something I'm bitterly sorry. Thank you, sir.
More ministers will appear tomorrow. Rags Martel, ITV News, at the Grenfell inquiry.